Here are my top 3 favorite music video transitions at the moment, and I'll be breaking down all of them step by step in this tutorial. So grab your coffee and let's break down the sauce. So we're in After Effects right now, and I got 3 different compositions right here where I'll be doing all of the effects. So we can open up the first composition, and here I got 2 clips, and I'll be breaking down this transition first. It's a pretty simple one, but it's a really clean one as well. So I'll remove the effects that I got right now, and I'll create 2 new adjustment layers. And these are empty without any effects, and I'll cut them right here between my clips. And I'll also just move the clips in here, just so I can have them in the center. So for the top adjustment layer, I'll actually name it Flash, and then the bottom one will be basically effects. So Flash at the top and effects at the bottom. And for the Flash layer, the only effect that I'll add on is a fill effect. And this will make our adjustment layer completely red, which is fine. And we'll change that color to white because that's the color I want to use. And if you want to use another color, just go ahead and go for another color. You could use a solid instead of an adjustment layer. But the thing with the solids is that you can't save them as presets later. That's why I'm using an adjustment layer and actually changing the color to white. So let's mask out this adjustment layer, and I'll mask it out right at the middle right here. That way we'll have half of the screen covered. And we'll keyframe, and then I'll press M on my keyboard and keyframe the mask path. And I'll actually do this 2 frames from my transition, so right there. And then for the frame before, I will just move this mask out of the frame. So just select your mask and then move it right up to the top right here. So it will come in right there. And then for the next frame right here, I'll move it down to the middle, just like this. And if you want to make sure that it's in the middle, make sure to turn on your proportional grid. And that way we can just make sure that it's centered, just like that. And then right here, I'll move it back up and then back down. I can just copy this keyframe actually. And then for the last frame, I'll move it out of the frame again. So how many keyframes do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we have 6 keyframes. So I'll keep it as it is. And for the fill effect, I'll actually keyframe the white color. And for the one before the transition, I'll just change it to black because I want to kind of switch it up a little bit right there. And then it will go back to white for the next frame. So this is what we got right now. It's cool. I think I just want to add in 1 more frame actually. So just that it goes back up right here. Yeah, just like that. I think that's a little bit better. So this is what we got right now. And now we'll add on some effects to our other adjustment layer. And I'll be using 3 effects. The first one is a warp effect. And I'll change the warp style to fisheye. And then we can turn the bend down to 0. And I'll keyframe the bend right here for the first frame. And for the second frame, I'll turn it down to like -70. Just like that. And then for this next frame, I'll turn it down to -100. Or actually, I'll go into the transition right there and I'll turn it down to -100 so it can be keyframed. And we'll leave this frame empty right there. And then right here, I'll turn it down to 0. So we'll have this kind of zoom out. And then when it comes back, it will be turned down to 0 right there. And then we can add on a directional blur just for some blur. And I'll turn the direction to 90. That way we'll have a horizontal blur. And I'll keep the blur length at 0 right here. And then I'll turn it up to 20. For the next one, I'll turn it up to 40. And then right here, I'll turn it up to 100 at the transition, where the peak is right here. And then I'll go 2 frames in and turn it down to 0, just like that. So I'll play through now. It's a solid transition, but I don't like the black one right here. So I think I'll actually just move it. So the transition will be the black one. Yeah, that looks a lot better in my opinion. It's not a huge difference, but it's just a small detail. And the last effect I'll add on is a deep glow, just to have some glow going on to spice it up. And I'll bump up the radius to 500. And I'll keyframe the radius going 2 frames before, turn it down to 0. 2 frames after the transition, turn it down to 0 as well. So it will look like this. Yeah, that's solid. But I can drag the deep glow out 1 more frame, just like that. And that's basically it for this transition. Now I'll just turn on motion blur for the FX layer. And now we got this. Yeah, that's a really clean transition. And I forgot to mention in the intro that this transition and the bunch of more transitions that I got are in my VFX kit plugin that I just dropped. Right here I got the plugin and we got a bunch of effects. We have over 150 effects that you just apply with one click, including a bunch of transitions, as you can see if I open up the transition tab. And the one that I just created is right here. Quick Bounce Part 1 and Part 2 is a really solid transition. And we got a bunch of more transitions like trippy ones and just a couple basic ones that are really essential for music videos, like this flash and just a bunch more. And this plugin just dropped, so I'm running a buy one get one free sale if you're watching this early, which means that if you add this plugin to your cart, you can grab another one of my preset packs for completely free. But this won't be lasting for long, so I'll leave the link in the description, so make sure to go and check it out. And if it's something for you, then I would recommend that you go ahead and use the buy one get one free sale, because I really think that this plugin could help a lot of video editors just save a lot of time while they're editing. But you know where to find the link, and let's get right into the second transition. The second transition I'll break down is this kind of wipe distortion transition. I'm not really sure what to call it, but it's a really unique one, and I've been gatekeeping this one for a while. And it's a little bit complicated, so I'll be breaking it down step by step. So I'll remove the adjustment layer and create a new one. So the first effect I'll add on is a sapphire distort chroma, and I'll keep the amount at 1. And right here at the transition, I'll keyframe the amount, and I'll bump up the blur length to 400, so something really heavy this time. And then like right around here, I'll turn down the amount to 0, and I'll go in a few frames like here and turn it down to 0 as well. So now we got the distortion in place. Now it's time for the Displacer Pro, which is another plugin, but this one is completely free. So I'll bump up the translate X to 67 and the rotation to, let's do 50. And I'll change the edge behavior to mirror repeat, or actually just repeat. That one looks better. So right here at the peak of the transition, I'll keyframe the translate X and the rotation. And just like with the distort chroma, I'll go in here and turn them down to 0, both of them, just like that. And I'll add in a shake from Sapphire. And this will be a pretty subtle shake just to kind of spice it up. So let's keep the frequency at 8, and we can keep the amplitude at 2. And we'll just keyframe the amplitude here at the peak from 2. And then here at the start, a few frames before the other ones start, we'll have it turned down to 0. And here as well, just like that. And we'll be messing a lot with the graph editor, just make it a lot smoother. Now let's add on a scale wipe effect, and this will help us create this kind of wipe effect. So I'll keyframe it from 0 here at the start, and then here at the peak of the transition. Actually right here, I'll turn it up to, let's do 16. And this center, I'll move all the way down here, just like that. And then we'll keyframe the center right here, and then I'll go into the next frame right here where the other scene starts, and I'll turn the stretch to -9 instead, so it will go the other way. And here at the end, I'll turn the stretch all the way down to 0, and I'll keyframe the center from 2.3k to like 1700, just like that. And then I'll drag this one down to like 1000. So right now the center is like right here. And this is what the transition looks like before we mess with anything with the graph editor. And yeah, it needs a lot of work right now. So we can start off by pressing U on our keyboard and select all of the effects and press F9 to easy ease them. Now the first ones, like the distort chroma, will create something like this, just so we have a smooth graph and we don't gotta do much more than that. And I'll do the same for the Displacer Pro, and I'll do something similar for the Sapphire Shake, just like this, and then go out, select this one, do the same thing, just like that. And now for the scale wipe, we have a lot more to do. So I'll select the stretch and I'll do something like this. So it's pretty slow here in the beginning, or actually I want to do it a little bit slower, and then at the peak it will just go crazy. Yeah, kind of like that. That's the look that I'm going for. And then for this part, I'll do something like this. So that should look really smooth. Now the only problem that we have with this transition is this black part, especially down there and then a lot up here. And to get rid of that, I'll add on a motion tile effect, and I'll add it on top of the scale wipe, just like this. And I'll turn up the output width and height to 300 and press mirror edges. And now we got this going on. That's smooth, but I think that I did the scale a little bit too fast. So I'll slow it down a little bit like this, and for the other one as well. See, that's really smooth, but the thing with the motion tile is that you can't really see the scale too much compared to how much you could see it right here. So if you want to keep the motion tile, go ahead and keep it, but I'll show you a workaround if you don't like it. I'll add on a transform effect, and for the transform, I'll move the anchor point right up to the top right here. And I'll copy the anchor point settings, paste it onto my position settings, just like this. And then I'll keyframe both of them right here. And I'll also keyframe the scale for the beginning. And here at the end, I'll just zoom in the scale. So we'll have a zoom in right there on the wipe, as you can see. And then for this part right here, we got to move the anchor point all the way down to the opposite corner. And we've keyframed it, so there should be no problems. And then we could, of course, turn up the scale a little bit more. I'll actually move it like down here, just like that. And we can bump up the scale to something like this. And then right here, the scale will go back to normal. And we have our transition. Now we'll just mess with the graph editor a little bit for the scale to something like this. Just make sure that the black parts is invisible. And that's how you know that you've got your graph right. And the same for this part. So that's basically it. Now play through and see what we got. See, that's a really solid transition. Yes sir, that's basically it. I messed up a little bit right there. I just gotta mess with the graph editor. And yeah, that's basically it for this effect. Now I'll jump right into the next one. That one's sick. And the final transition that I'll do is this one right here. And that one is also included in my VFX kit. I just gotta mention that. That's a shameless plug, but I'll break down this step by step. So I'll delete the adjustment layer, create a new one. And the first effect I'll add on is a warp puddle from Sapphire once again, and I'll turn up the amplitude to 0.14 and the frequency to 2.5 and the height to like 1.6, just like this, and the outer radius to 1040, because that's what I like to keep it on. And now I'll keyframe the amplitude and frequency and go in like just a few frames, not too many, like just like right here. And I'll turn them both down to 0 and 1. And then for right here, we can have it a little bit more dragged out before it turns down to 0 and 0.1. So now the next effect I'll add on is a distort chroma, and this one is of course essential for these trippy transitions. And just like I usually do, I'll bump up the blur length to 400, something really high, and amount to like 0.675. And I'll keyframe the amount and go in here, turn it down to 0, go to the end, turn it down to 0 again. And now next effect, this will give us a kind of zoom. So if I check this reverse lens distortion and drag up the field of view, I'll have something like this. I'll keep it at 125, keyframe it, go in here, turn it down to 0, go to the end, turn it down to 0. And then I'll just add on a radial blur to kind of spice up the zoom. I'll change the type to zoom, keyframe it from 40 all the way down to 0 right here, and 0 at the end. Hope I'm not going too fast, but we're pretty much done now. Last effect is an exposure effect, just to give us some kind of flash. You could also add on a glow if you feel like it, but I'll keep it pretty simple. So I'll turn up the exposure to 2.3, go in 2-3 frames before, drag it down to 0, go in 2-3 frames after, drag it down to 0 again. And that's basically it for this effect. Now you can turn on motion blur, of course, and it looks really sick right now, but we gotta mess with the graph editor just a tiny bit. So I'll ease all of my keyframes, and then I'll create something that looks a little bit like this. So I'll drag both of these down, and then I'll drag this one in, and this one as well. And for the frequency, we can do the same. And I forgot to talk, but I basically just created the exact same graph for all of these effects, except for the exposure, because we don't got to do anything with that one. And the radial blur, I'll do the exact same thing, just like this. And I'll play through and see what it looks like. But this is what it looks like now that I'm done. And it's also a really solid transition. I actually think I did it a little bit too fast compared to what it looks like in the VFX kit. If I open it up, search up WoW transition, because that's just what I called it. And I'll just apply it from here by just clicking on the preview. And this is what it looks like in the pack. It's basically the same. It's basically the same thing. I just did it a little bit slower in the pack, so it just has more time to kind of look good. But that's basically it for this tutorial. I'll leave the VFX kit link to the description, as well as all of my other packs. And like I said, I got the buy one get one free sale going on right now, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and do that. You know where the link is. But thank you so much for watching if you watched this far. If you didn't, thank you anyway, but I'll see you in the next one.